Hi, my name is Luana Cruz. I'm talking directly from Brazil, and right now I'm at Banco BV as a UX Research Operations. Today I'm going to tell you something that probably nobody's ever told you. The future of recruitment is a cake. I know, weird, right? In this talk, I hope to teach you how to navigate in different environments when it comes to recruitment processes and kitchens. So, before I dive into recruitment, I must say that I grew up in my mom's kitchen. But even though she's a baker, the first time I learned how to bake a cake, it was at my auntie's house. And I know it sounds like it didn't matter, but bear with me. My mom had a neat kitchen, the best resources, ingredients to bake, and most of all, she had time. My auntie's kitchen was chaotic. She did the best with what she had in the fridge, and most of the time, she did not have time enough to bake. My mom used to say there's no cake recipe for things in life and work, which means that cake were easy to bake. For her, that's just one way to do it. For my auntie, there was no right way to do it. I never figured out which one was right, and this story has stuck with me until the first time I listened. Lua, I don't do research because our recruitment sucks. Ouch. And just like my mom's kitchen, the first time I was sent to improve a recruitment process, I had the most neat kitchen I ever had. I had expensive ingredients, I had the best refined sugar. Money wasn't a problem to solve a problem. We could spend the money we wanted to solve a problem if we could solve it. I mean, not everything we wanted, but it was the perfect scenario. It was a controlled environment, and we had each ingredient for it. But then, after that, when I changed companies, I had a whole new problem. And the problem was the money. And every single ingredient that I used to think that it was the only way to do a perfect process for recruitment. What I didn't know yet was that perfect recipes only work in a controlled environment, and so is research operations. So, Lua, how to bake a perfect recruitment cake in different kitchens like that? Let me show you what I was dealing with. So, in the first company, I had a database to manage, a 5K user database managed in a proper tool. I created a user community that was tracked down with profiles and history and rates of engagement in each tenant that we used to use. And finally, a great budget. The second one only had a little group of users that had opted to participate in research. For all other things, we had to rely on the CRM team, distant with other priorities. The biggest problem is that we had a lot. No, listen to me. We had a lot of spreadsheets. And every time that we had to get started in a study, we had to fulfill all those spreadsheets. And please, don't even ask me about budget. Within this scenario, what should I do? And let me remind you that just like my cake recipes, the first thing I know is the perfect environment. So when I got to the second, I had to reinvent myself. And let me show you how I did it. Well, even if I had all the resources and the approach, the first thing to improve processes is to prove the value of working processes. So my approach is always first, what the best can I do in the scenarios with unlimited resources? And two, how can I prove the value of me using all those resources at the same time? In the second challenge, I changed. I couldn't do a big project like the first one and prove value after. I had to do it step by step. Do little parts with what I had in my hands, test, and then improve, and then test again. And in each test, I showed improvements and how that could be better if I had more resources. Different approach to the same goal to make the process faster and easier and better. All this to ask you one single question. Lua, what do cakes and recruitment have in common? And let me tell you that they both are product. So when it comes to products, the first step is always create an MVP, a minimal viable product. But what determines how your MVP will look and do is the same thing as the act of baking a cake. Everything is changed by your budget and time and resources. If you have unlimited resources, then your MVP must be robust and bigger and great. But if you don't, if all this is limited and scarce, you can still light a very good start. So, Back to my challenges in bakery. In the first company, my strategy was to turn all that processes in a product with a clear job to be done. People who do research may have the easiest and fastest way to recruit to their studies. Also, my metrics were pretty simple. First, reduce the numbers of days spent in recruitment. And let me tell you, spoiler, on the MVP, we reduced for 14 days to 5, and on the next step, we reduced from 5 days to 6 hours because all products must evolve. And finally, one metric that I work hard and I always put on the game when I contract some too is RRR, internal rate of return. For us, it was almost zero, which means that the money we spend in a tool is paid by the reduction of our working hour of the designers. On the other hand, in my second company, I decided to go smaller, as I said before. My biggest problem was the amount of steps that we had to follow just to recruit users, and how many times the research ops person, yes, that was me, spent in following all those steps. So, the first thing, the process had to be fed by designers. They were too afar, they had to participate, they were the major interested after all. But it wasn't fair to put the designers to do all those steps. So I look inside my fridge and find the same tool that data was using to integrate all those steps and made it automatically. After that, my metrics were basic. Reduce the step of recruitment and reducing the effort for the reops person. And we made it. And finally, what the difference between those two scenarios? None. They were both delicious to bake and eat it. And so will be your recruitment process. With or without all the resources, looking perfect or not, with the best tool on the market or not. It will be delicious because you made it just for your team and your environment, and they will fit. And that's how you bake a turbo recruitment for your team. I hope you enjoy baking this with me, and thank you.